Okay, we're going to talk about GoPro right now, because one of the things you will see in the Best 4 Beyond the Paddle show on Supersport, which is next week Wednesday, the second edition premiere, 8 p.m. on Supersport 2, on Supersport 6 on Wednesday, by the way. We're going to create an opportunity for you to submit your GoPro footage. Now, the bit of footage we're going to have a look at now comes from a Durban surf ski, or at least a fishing ski paddler, and I'm raising this because Hank has got, as you said, salt water in his veins. This is the sort of footage that we're after, because if you happen to be out there with a GoPro and you capture a moment that is either it's breathtaking in some way or other, it's either serenely tranquil or something really dramatic happens in front of you, we'd like you to share that with us. And there's an opportunity in each of those Supersport shows to have a look at that bit of footage. So what you have to do, if you've got something you've shot on GoPro, and there are a lot of paddlers that are paddling around with GoPros at the moment, or any of the digital cameras, what you need to do is to upload it to YouTube first of all, and once you've done that, you simply share the link on the Beyond the Paddle Facebook page, and then we'll track you down, and the most inspiring or interesting new clip is going to be shown on the show. Now, Hank, have a look at this, because I'm not sure if you know the man. It's Scott Hunter. Paddles out on a fishing ski to go fishing every day from Macleod, and the little bit of footage that we're going to share with you right now happens where Scott Hunter is this is Scott fishing. He paddles out there with his mates and comes across a whale that's been trapped in the shark nets. And I guess if you're sitting in your ski and you're confronted with a whale that is extremely stressed and distraught, what would you do?
I mean, I'd call for help or get the sharks board, because it takes something to jump off your boat and to try and help that, especially a stressed whale, because if you do get hit by a tail or anything like that, you're going to come off second best.
Absolutely, it'll break your ski and break you, probably.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, what happens in the situation is Scott phoned for the sharks board, but the whale was very weak and very distressed. And let's have a look at some of the visuals that he shot in his GoPro. The entire movie is about 10 minutes long, but it's quite striking.
Right, let's go catch some fish.
Now here he is, he's busy sort of setting himself up for a ski. He's off from Floaty, it's early morning. He's got a couple of his mates, and then he hears one of them shouting that he's actually identified a whale. Now the truth behind the story is that the whale actually swam into the shark nets. The life of a fishing ski fisherman, what a pleasure. The truth is that the whale swam into the nets at Mflonga and dragged the nets all the way, including all the anchors, as far as Floaty. So by the time it got there, it was really seriously exhausted, and you'll see when he comes up to it, the noise that this whale makes up close to him when he paddles to it is of an animal in extreme distress. And over the duration of the 15 minutes that you'll see in this movie, he goes up and he manages to use his fishing knife to cut the nets loose. There it is. He's right up next to it.
Oh, it's huge.
It's massive. It's possibly incredible, and it's distressed. And as he goes up to it, you can see the nets hanging over the back of the whale.
You can see it dragging him.
And with an incredible courage, his friends don't have the courage to do it. He takes up his fishing knife and one by one cuts the shark's board nets and frees the whale to the point that it can now swim away. It's 10 minutes, so we're not going to have time to do it. If you want to go and watch the entire video, you can go to the Facebook page, Beyond the Paddle, Best 4 Beyond the Paddle on Facebook, and go and check it out there. But Scotty Hunter, who incidentally is up in Mozambique fishing at the moment, look at that. It's completely trapped. The animal had got to the stage where it was about to drown because it was trapped in the nets, and any whale that was stuck like that. And see how close he is to it. It's incredible. Then he takes out his fishing knife, and then slowly but surely he gets these huge trumpets and like a roar of a lion coming out of the whale every time he gets up to it. But you've got to respect him. I wouldn't have it.
I know. Well, I hope he catches a big one after this, because he sure deserves it.
That's exciting stuff. So it's very simple. If you come across a piece of GoPro footage that you know of, or and you'd like to include it, it's really simple. All you have to do is upload it to YouTube like you normally do, and then share that link on our Facebook page, and we'll track that down. And if it really knocks our socks off, then we'll be happy to include that on the next, at least the next Supersport edition of Best 4 Beyond the Paddle. Hank, you're a working full-time professional athlete. There aren't very many world champions that are working full-time and trying to squeeze their paddling in between.
I don't know, but it's not the easiest thing to do. But I always wanted to keep it quiet, because at least my opposition always thought I was training all day. But now that I'm getting older, everyone's starting to know what I actually do. And I don't train all day. I train in the mornings, and I train in the evenings. And work just like a normal person.
Well, it takes me to the next question, which has come from Sharon. Take me to a typical Hank day. What time do you get up? You work in the day. When do you train? How does your day work?
Normally or depending on where I am in the year for training, I'd average day wake up probably like 5:30, 5:20, and go for a 45 to 50-minute run. Prior to Doozy, it was a bit longer, and then just leave for work, get to work 8 o'clock, work all the way through till 4:30, 4:45, and then I normally set the training program so that 4:45 the guys meet at the river, and I normally get there, it's between 40-45 people waiting in the car park for me, and I'm always like, sorry guys, traffic late, you know, it was just meantime, you know, and a lot of them are varsity students and all retired businessmen, so yeah, everyone, I think it's tough, it is tough, but at the same time I really enjoy my training. You know, I live two lives. You know, one is a professional athlete, and the other one is a professional worker, just like other people. So
well, you got 3 lives. You're trying to sustain a marriage at the same time. It's difficult.
Not yet. I haven't got. I'm not married yet. I'm still trying, and she hasn't said yes when it really counts. But at the moment, I'm nearly there.
Well, she pedals and runs as well, which helps.
100%. Like a lot of times we run together, and you know, she always tells me to do an interval here or to run up that road, and like a run and back, and then I see her go past and I try and catch her up and go up the next road. So yeah, she knows how to train, and she pushes me actually. To be honest, she's the only one that's ever shouted at me in the canoe lately for the last couple of years when we do a dice or anything. Everyone else keeps quiet when they're in the boat with me, but she just lets me have it. She doesn't back down, and if we start coming off the wave, she just shouts at me, "Go on, harder!" You know, everyone else, they just keep quiet.
And I think you've learned you keep quiet as well.
Yeah, I know. I just keep quiet. I just bite my teeth and just paddle my flipping ring off. But yeah, she gets to me, and but she knows exactly what it takes to fire me up. And like I say, there's a lot of races that I owe her for where I've achieved. You know.
Okay. Well, one of the things that you will see when you see the Supersport show next week is a product review. Now, the product reviews are very important because we're trying to create a platform where the local manufacturers are able to showcase particularly new developments that are aimed at the mainstream market, the rank and file, where the bulk of the paddlers are. And since the majority of the paddlers are now gearing up for the Berg and the Swartland, we're looking at K1s. And the product that we're reviewing is a boat that was developed by Knysna Racing late last year called the Jacana, which is in fact an evolution of their boat, which is the CX Maxi. If you'd like to put yourself in line to win one of these boats, what you need to do is to go and have a look at it for the moment. This is me giving it a test drive at Shongweni. And one of the questions that was raised is the Knysna Racing boats can't stand up to a bashing on KZN rivers. So what we did is we took it up to the Umzimkhulu when it was low, and we bashed it. We bashed it properly. We tried really hard to bash it. We looked for places to bash it. We looked for low rapids to bash it. And we looked for places where we could stress the seams. Like, for example, here's the mine shaft we're on the Umzimkhulu, and you bury it quite deep here. If the seams are weak, they'll pop when they go down here. But having had a river layup boat made, it was quite impressive to see that it handles it, and handles it very impressively. If you'd like to win one of those boats, all you have to do is send us an email with a dead simple answer to a question. Go to beyondthepaddle.co.za and go and have a look at that competition link. Simply send us an email, and this time next month you could be the proud owner of one of those Knysna Racing Jacanas, which is one of those boats that I think is going to become a South African flagship boat. Our boat industry is amongst the best in the world.
100%, like especially river racing. I mean, I've raced quite a few races internationally, river racing, and I think the South African manufacturers definitely know what they're doing. A lot of the international guys try and convert sprint boats into river boats. They don't always get it right, but South Africans, I think it's part of our culture. So
you started something in Singapore where we're suddenly making world-class marathon boats and world-class sprint boats?
I don't know. Look, I think maybe we can get a boat one of these days into something like the Olympic Games, but it's always going to be tough. It's hard to break into the industry, but I think after the marathons, winning the world title now, I think a lot of guys, international guys, are looking up and saying, hey, you know, maybe we should try that boat out, and maybe you can make it a sprint boat version. So who knows what the future may bring.
So when a youngster says to his dad, please can I have 35,000 Rand to go and buy a new boat from Europe, we could be saying to him, the quality boat is on our doorstep.
You can buy 2 from South Africa, one to train and one to race in. So that's maybe a better deal.
Hank, there's one race you haven't won. I can say that with confidence because it's only happened once and you weren't there.
Okay.
That was the brand new Green Kalahari Canoe Marathon.
Correct.
It started a couple of weeks ago for the very first time. It's a 3-day race for those of you that don't know about it. It's based up in Uppington in the Northern Cape. What is really exciting was that the Northern Cape government really threw its weight behind this race. There was 270,000 Rand in prize money.
Sure.
There were 24 boats that came down to do the maths. The odds are good. The paddlers that did make the trip to Uppington, first of all, not only had the benefit of some fantastic hospitality, but they also got really decent prize money, and I really hope they can sustain that. But to have a look at the area that they were at in Uppington, I'm hoping to tease you here, because it is 3 days. There's about 40 k's a day, 120 over the 3 days, and it's beautiful. You go from this oasis on the river onto the Orange River. They got the water release a little bit wrong, so they didn't quite get the water release they were hoping for. The river was medium to lowish. But the paddlers that were down there said, first of all, it was brilliantly organized. The safety was of an immaculate standard. But when you got onto this clear green water, the paddlers had a truly mind-blowing time in the river. Are you keen?
I actually heard about it the week before I left. We got notified from our team Best 4 manager, Ali Manot, and it so happened that was the weekend I got engaged. So I had other things planned prior to that. So, but if I delayed it, like you say, delayed enough, you know, I think it was my time. So, but next year, I think maybe I'll be there.
And it looks exciting. It seems to be, the paddlers that went there said it was a mix of principally the Vaal. It had long flat stretches. The rapids weren't that technical. There's some seriously big weirs because it's quite an important irrigation river. So there were a lot of these things, jumping out and paddling and portaging, which is what South African marathon paddlers are good at.
That's fantastic. I mean, if you go and look at the World Championships this year in Rome, the portages looked almost the same as that. You know, very steep banks to get in and out. So I think it's always good training, and I recognise quite a few of the Cape guys and also some of our Team Best 4 guys are competing.
Yeah, Kwanda Mhlope is one of the paddlers who was in there. And one of the paddlers that's really put his hand up this season. I know he's a teammate of yours, and as team captain you've had quite an influence on him, but Kwanda Mhlope is one of the paddlers who paddled with Lance Kime for a lot of the season and had a very good non-stop and doozy with him. But he's got talent written all over him.
No, for sure. I think he is a talent for the future, and I think he's such a humble guy, and he's pretty relaxed, and he doesn't seem to get too flustered, which a lot of people do. And prior to a big race, and he's a cool cat, and like I say, I think he's a talent, and I've paddled behind him enough times in training and stuff, and I think like I say, he's the future, and that's where canoeing is going, you know. And I think he's approaching it correctly now with the, you know, Team Best 4 with the high performance centre and everything. I mean, he's starting off the right way, you know, the way that everyone should. So I'm sure in time to come, who knows.
Do you see that as part of your role now? I'm not trying to say that your career is nearing an end, but you're in a position to influence youngsters. If you see a bright-eyed teenager coming up to you, maybe too scared to ask for advice, is this something you want to do at this stage?
No, for sure. Like I say, I'm always, anybody can approach me at any time, and I'm always out there to lend a hand or to give some advice. Yeah, I'm still competing at the moment, so it's always hard to tell somebody else, hey, do this, do that, when that person's actually racing against you. But look, it's inevitable. I'm going to get old, and I am getting old. But at this stage, I'm still on the podium, and it's going to take something to knock me off.
Well, this was effectively what happened. This is Michael Mbanjwa and Sponelo Zondi finishing in third. This is the end of the second day, I believe, of the race. But it was Lance King and Heinrich Schlomps that won it, and that ended up being in a heck of a race. Gavin White and Piron Rabi in the boat for the first time, and going really nicely. So these are the guys that you're going to be racing in Berg in a couple of months.
They full-on Berg paddlers, and they got the pedigree. They can take the distance, and that's one thing about the Cape guys. They know how to paddle for long distance, and they know how to race. You know, so I'm sure in time to come, now that you've seen this race, there's going to be a lot more Italians going to the race. And especially with that amount of money and prize money up for grabs, I think it's only a win-win for everyone.
Well, you saw her on the screen just now. Hilary Pitchford was on the screen. Currently the ICF World Marathon Series champion. She won it last year. Is that not one of the things that you need to tick?
Yeah, look, it's hard. I think she won the World Classic Series, River Series. Yep. And yeah, I was with her in Perth when we both won the Avon. She won the women's, I won the men's, and she's a fantastic talent. And that title, it's maybe one of those ones that I'd like to tick off, but it's hard to try and juggle that series as well as the Surfski series, as well as trying to maybe I still got to make the team to try and get back to world champs, to try and see if I can pull off defend my title. If you
Well,
want.
we've got a couple of minutes, Hank, and somebody's stirring the pot here. I'm going to throw this question at you anyhow. Do you and Jacques Taron talk? I have to give you the question.
No, yes, we do. I respect Jacques. Like I say, we had an incident. I think it's just over 2 years ago, and like I say, it's water under the bridge. I made a mistake, and it cost me a couple of months in paddling, being banned worldwide for the incident. But when I've raced against him, and he's a phenomenal athlete. He never gives up, and he's won 3 bergs. Anyone that wins a berg is a tough competitor. To finish that race is a challenge on its own, but to actually win it's a fantastic achievement. And he's won 3, and I raced against him last year, and he still got what it takes. And like I say, we still talk, and like that, whatever happened, that's behind us. Life goes on, and like I say, I realized I was wrong, and I paid the price.
To cop a suspension like that and have to sit on the sidelines, I think will rank alongside the very few lows in your career.
Yeah, definitely. Like it was done in the heat of a moment, and it happened, and I couldn't take it back. What happened. But for me, a lot of people don't understand that I got banned through ICF. Means I got banned worldwide. My races were turned down, my visas were declined. So it ended up being a thing that went in a local canoe race. At the spur of a moment, end of a race, to actually being worldwide. And I've been to a few races around the world where the guys say, "Hey, welcome to our race. Just don't hit anyone." So I've everyone can laugh about it now, but I must admit, sitting on the bank and not being allowed to race was a big pill to swallow. And I realized how much paddling meant to me as a person. And I think there's very few people that actually ever get put under that circumstance to actually say, well, sorry, you are not allowed to race. You are not welcome here. And for me, it happened to me. And I realized, you're only as good as your last race, and if you're not allowed to race anymore, well, it says the answer. So for me, it's something that I've learned, and I definitely cherish every day that I'm allowed to race a race, and I cherish being able to paddle. Just to train and have a reason to train. It's hard to go and motivate yourself when you got a year ban in front of you, and people are saying, so what race are you doing next? So I said, well, I'm waiting for the next calendar to arrive. It hasn't come out yet. It's still got to come out next year. So I appreciate paddling at the moment, and I really enjoy it. I keep it close to my heart.
I know I've asked you this question before. If you could write down a sentence that the paddling community would use to remember you by when your racing days are over, what would it be?
I think I'd just like people to remember me as somebody that was different. That someone that never backed down, and that was a tough competitor, and hopefully it will bring a smile to their faces, because that's what I'd ultimately like people to remember me. When my name's mentioned, somebody will just smile and say, "Geez, that was tough." Yeah. And that's how I'd like to be remembered.
Excellent, Hank. It's been a real pleasure having you in the studio. Thank you for being here.
Thanks, Dave.
We appreciate giving the time in your middle of your busy work day.
Thanks very much.
Don't forget that brings to an end our online streamed show. Wednesday evening, you'll be able to catch the premiere edition of episode 2 of Best 4 Beyond the Paddle. And there is plenty to look forward into that show. So to whet your appetite, let's wind the clock ahead, and I'll give you a teaser of what you can expect to see when that show premieres on SuperSport on Wednesday. It's 8 p.m. on SuperSport 6. Some of the issues we've touched and a lot more content. So next week, Wednesday, this is what you can expect to see. We go back to the surf ski paddlers who go on the Norma Kanjane, Emma for the canoe polo champs. We've talked a little about the still Umco, but we have a look at that full package. We have an in-depth look at the Jacana, what makes it good and what makes it possibly weak. Then we head down to Uppington for the Green Kalahari Canoe Marathon. We spend a little bit of time with Hank, and there's the boat that he won the Worlds in. I hope it's back on the wall. And an opportunity once again to stay in touch with all those aspects. There's some extreme kayaking to boot, and plenty more to look forward to. Don't forget, we really welcome your comments. Thank you for those that managed to get your questions in. There's a deluge of questions that have arrived, but given that some of the paddlers still have to keep the wheels of industry turning, the show is only going to be an hour now that it's streamed live. You will be able to catch it on podcast if any of your friends missed it and they want to go and check it. We'll upload it to the website beyondthepaddle.co.za, so you can watch this show or any of the previous shows at your pleasure whenever you feel like it. So, for this edition of Best 4 Beyond the Paddle streaming online, it's my pleasure as Dave Macleod to be able to say thank you for your company. It's been a great pleasure. We look forward to catching you live on SuperSport on Wednesday night for the premiere of episode 2. And keep an eye on the website for the next edition of our online streaming of Best 4 Beyond the Paddle.
Beyond the Paddle, powered by Best 4 nutritional supplements. Good, better, best for you and your family.